Hi, good afternoon. So how was your Diwali? घर गए थे आप लोग? All of you, not all of you. So I think we do have 4 classes, 3 classes in this week, and after that, one more class would be there. So what? Including 4. If at all it will be required, the 5th class would be there, but 4 to 5 classes, maximum 4 to 5 classes, not more than that. So you already got the schedule, na? This week we do have 3 classes today and uh, tomorrow. No, tomorrow I don't have the class in your. Day after tomorrow. So today we'll be starting our. Not much is required in ancient medieval. How many questions do come from the ancient medieval? पहले खुद बताओ आप लोग. From last 2011 itself, 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And maximum which came was 3 questions, ठीक है? And that too also it overlaps with the art and culture. ठीक है? So not ancient is a bit elaborate, ठीक है? And medieval is not that elaborate. So usually they don't ask much questions from the medieval, but they do ask questions from the medieval which are concerned with the art and culture. And also ancient portion is quite elaborate. So we'll try to do ancient in an elaborate manner. How many of you saw today's paper, GS paper 1? Abhi just conduct hua. You saw that paper, na? So there was this question, one question, 2 questions were there from the art and culture. One was something related with the tolerance, and one was related with the Gupta coins. Gupta numismatic art. So Gupta numismatic art, we didn't finish in your classes. That is a part of the Gupta period we'll be doing in the medieval history, okay? And not medieval, sorry, ancient history. And आपके classes से पहले कुछ और batches में I did completed the same thing. So I was also delighted to see that कि question आया उसमें से. Even I was not expecting that they would ask question from the coins. थोड़ा अजीब टाइप सा था. And did you saw the trend? What was the new trend? 10 questions, 10 marks, and 10 questions, 15 marks. It's मतलब actually very new thing. It's a kind of a shocker to the people. लोगों ने ये समझा कि I talked to few of people, few of our students. So they said that कि 10 क्वेश्चन तक जब when they were doing the 10 question, so they thought that it is 25 question. 10 marker है तो 25 question. And then suddenly a 15 marker question arrived. So they were around इस 10 marker question में they were writing around 150 words. ठीक है? Otherwise they can move to the 200 words over here. अगर जो ये पहले देखा होता तो 15 marks को कितने में लिखोगे? Around 300 words. So yes, इसमें 250 दिया था, ठीक है? तो 250 could be there, but ये 15 मार्क्स थोड़ा सा अजीब हो गया, मतलब थोड़ा ज़्यादा हो गया. तो पहले पेपर पूरा एक बार एक नज़र से देखना इज़ वेरी नेसेसरी. दैट फर्स्ट यू सी द पेपर एंड मार्क्स भी देखना जरूरी है. तो सेकंड पेपर अभी चल रहा होगा. मैं बोलूँगा कि यू सी द पेपर टुडे इटसेल्फ, कि आज जो कंडक्ट हुआ है आज ही देखो. हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू सॉ द एसे पेपर? हाँ, a lot of you. So the first section was a kind of a question answer format. वो question answer, impact of the fiscal, and then first question was there something farming related, हाँ, farmers, and then second portion was a kind of a, what I can say that not mystical, extempore types of question. Extempore, you know, na, कि few words are given, few particular statement is given, and then you need to elaborate. Social media is a selfish media. Okay. So that was the one question. And new age women, myth of the new age women. So you asked these questions to essay related, ma'am, and there was this discussion of this new age women. आपके तो सोसाइटी के क्लासेस हो गए ना? Done. Ongoing ना, तो ma'am will discuss that thing. The tolerance wala questions was discussed in her class itself, and new age women also. So now come to our own topic. So we are going to start today ancient. Ancient India. And one thing about the ancient India is that it is very elaborate. If you go through the ancient India, it is not just elaborate also, but lot many differences are there regarding the ancient Indian history. The views of the people used to differ. The views of the historians used to differ. So that difference of the opinion is required in the history optional, but not in the GS just GS papers. Okay. So GS papers, what you need to do, you need to only rely on the NCERT texts which are there. So if at all any question is going to come from the this ancient history or medieval history, so their source of answer would be from the NCERT. Though you can always find the difference of opinion from the whatever that is given in the NCERT, some other book which people used to read in the history optional, उसमें कुछ different opinion हो सकते हैं, ठीक है? Because we do have very less evidences, very less literary resources which talks about the ancient history. Particularly medieval history के काफी सारे books हैं. Many books are there. But regarding ancient history, very less books are there. And some religious books are there which used to elaborate the ancient history. So, for example, that when we'll be talking about the Aryans history, so Aryans history is mainly confined to the Rig Veda. And Rig Veda, you already know, it's a kind of religious text also. तो ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि उसमें कुछ बढ़ा चढ़ा के लिखा हो, ठीक है? So that could be there. But we do have very less resources. For example, one more thing I'll tell you, that Satvahans, who used to rule in the Deccan area. So we don't have any literary kind of thing related to them except Puranas. Their history is written in only in Puranas. So Puranas, already we read in that class, were kind of a hyperbolic, oxymoronic, ठीक है? तो थोड़ा difference of opinion उसमें हो जाएगा, ठीक है? So ancient India, we are going to start, and we will start from the Stone Age. So first we'll talk about the Stone Age. Then Stone Age, after Stone Age, in this Stone Age, we'll divide it into the three periods: Paleolithic, Meso, and Neolithic. So we will talk about that, what is there in these periods. Then after Neolithic period, this Stone Age, Neolithic period, comes your Indus Valley civilization, ठीक है? So Indus Valley civilization we have already done. तो एक बार फिर से बताना उसमें से कुछ भी छूटा होगा, whatever that has been left. तो we will see that what has been left from the Indus Valley civilization, ठीक है? Then after Indus Valley civilization, we will talk something about Chalcolithic culture. Chalcolithic culture. Not civilization. Here you will be writing Chalcolithic culture. It is not civilization. I'll be defining that why it is written Chalcolithic culture. Then after Chalcolithic culture, we will talk about the Vedic period. So, Vedic period, and there is further subdivision of the Vedic period, early Vedic and later Vedic. So two periods, we will divide it into the two periods, early Vedic period, and so separately we'll be reading about the same, that early Vedic period and later Vedic period. Then after the Vedic period, so this Vedic period, so going by the chronology, this IVC, you already know that it was from the 2500 to 2000 BC. And Chalcolithic culture was around 1800 to 1500. Though there is some more concept related to the Chalcolithic. It is not just 1800 to 1500, but it is also before Indus Valley civilization. I'll come to that, why it is there. Then Vedic period started from the 1500, and in this 1500, this 15 to 1000 was early Vedic period, and 1000 till the incoming of Buddha, 600 BC, was the later Vedic period. So after that, this Vedic period, our next topic would be the rise of religious movement. Rise of religious movement, okay? In 6th century BC. In 6th century BC. So, which all religions emerged in this 6th century BC? Buddhism and Jainism, okay? So, we have already covered Buddhism and Jainism. So, we'll not be talking about the Buddhism and Jainism, but two things that we left in our philosophy classes. I said to you that will be covered later. So that two things is your Ajivika and Charvaka. ठीक है. So we will be covering here Ajivika and Charvaka. So these two we will talk over here. These two in the rise of religious movement. And then after this rise of religious movement, we will talk about the rise of 16 Mahajanpadas. ठीक है, तो 16 Mahajanpadas, and then a little discussion about the 16 Mahajanpadas, that how they emerged, why they emerged, and then after we will talk about our discussion will be based on the Magad. ठीक है, तो one of the most important Mahajanpad and one of the strongest, not one of the strongest, most powerful Mahajanpad, Magad. So we will be talking about the Magad and which dynasties ruled in Magad and who were the rulers. So then onwards we'll be following the all dynasties like Haryanka, then Mauryas, and then later. Okay. So this way we will be going. And in between, after this North India, from Gupta period onwards, we'll be talking about the dynasties in the South India also. Okay. So first we'll cover this North Indian part. So start करते हैं from this one. Stone Age, ठीक है, या Stone Age को we also call it prehistoric period. We also call it prehistoric period. Prehistoric period. So why it is called as the prehistoric period? We don't have any evidence. ठीक है. So and first you tell me that prehistoric के पहले when what was the particular time, what could be the which particular period can be assigned to the origin of the human being on planet Earth? हाँ बताओ. Around कितना टाइम पहले बोल सकते हैं? देखो geography के classes में sir must have divided this quaternary phase and Holocene, Pleistocene, these kind of thing. How much? अरे ये तो बहुत close हो गया. ठीक है, not 65,000 years, around.
Homo sapiens is a modern human hominid, but 40,000 BC Homo erectus.
No, not Homo sapiens, Homo erectus ऐसे नहीं बोलेंगे. Human being मैं बोल रहा हूँ. तुम Homo sapien और erectus पे मत जाओ. हाँ, 1.5 lakh years before in Pleistocene epoch. ठीक है, तो Pleistocene epoch was the one where human beings appeared. ठीक है, so this one, Pleistocene. In Pleistocene, human beings appeared on planet Earth. ठीक है, तो this was the period in which human beings appeared. ठीक है, and then the present age in which we live is the Holocene. ठीक है, तो इसको बोलते हैं Holocene. The present age in which we live is your Holocene. So this is the present age. ठीक है, तो इसको लिख लो कि ह्यूमन बींग्स अपीयर्ड ऑन प्लैनेट अर्थ इन प्लीस्टोसीन फेज. हाँ, ह्यूमन बींग्स अपीयर्ड ऑन दिस अर्थ ड्यूरिंग मिडिल ऑफ द प्लीस्टोसीन. लिखना मिडिल ऑफ द प्लीस्टोसीन, मिडिल ऑफ प्लीस्टोसीन फेज, middle of the Pleistocene phase, and then you write the present phase is Holocene. The present phase is Holocene. ठीक है, so these things, epochs and division, quaternary phase और बहुत सारे phases होते हैं ना. So इसका source is your geography का first chapter. I think it is given in the fundamentals of physical geography. उसमें दिया है ना, तो you can go through that. ठीक है, so now come to this one, that in this age, so Holocene we started to read about the history of the human being. So basically, when there was no literary evidence in this Stone Age, so what became the basis of the study of the human beings? It was, हाँ बोलो, no, not archaeology, हाँ, little bit related to that, not fossil evidences, stone tools. ठीक है. तो human history is read in the terms of stone tools used by them. ठीक है. So it is read in the terms of stone tools used by them, and that's why this lithic is combined in every. ठीक है. So stone tools used by them, and advancement in the stone tools, it is these periods are divided on the basis of the advancement in the stone tools used by these people. ठीक है. So that's why it is called as the lithic period. So you write human history has been studied according to the nature of stone tools used by them. ठीक है, used by them. And then further you write, on the basis of same, it is divided into three phases. On the basis of same, it is divided into three phases. Okay? So we'll be looking into the very first phase. So first you write Paleolithic. So this Paleolithic was further subdivided. First you will be listening and then you will be writing. So this Paleolithic was also further subdivided into the three phases. ठीक है? So इसको भी तीन phase में divide किया है. And only thing that we need to see in this section, only the stone tools. Name of the stone tools, कि which stone tools were used by them. So here it was divided into the three phases. First one was your Lower Paleolithic. And then Middle Paleolithic, and then Upper Paleolithic. So this was divided into three periods. Okay? These three phases, and their ages are like that. So one thing you need to notice, that in many books it will be written कि ये 2.5 लाख से 1 लाख तक था. ठीक है? In many books it is written 2.5 lakh to 1 lakh BC, and in other books it is written 5 lakh to 1 lakh BC. ठीक है? So दोनों ही we will write it कि 1 lakh would be the correct, but कहाँ से start हो रहा है, there is a confusion. ठीक है? तो दोनों ही लिख लो कि इसमें लिखना कि 2.5 lakh. And this source is from NCERT. This one is from NCERT, and this one is from the other history books. So there is a difference of opinion. So it is not possible that UPSC will ask the same. So then this Lower Paleolithic was till 1 lakh. Then middle was from 1 lakh BC to 40,000 BC, and this was 40,000 to 10,000 BC. ठीक है? 40,000 to 10,000 BC. So this was there. Now again you will be writing. So Paleolithic was further subdivided into three phases. So first you write Lower Paleolithic, and here only thing that we need to know, the characteristic stone tools of this period. So you write Lower Paleolithic, and इसमें आगे लिखना कि the characteristic tool of the Lower Paleolithic is hand axes, cleavers, and choppers. Hand axes, cleavers, and choppers. Board पे लिखा है. So the characteristic tools of this period, Lower Paleolithic, was hand axes, cleavers, and choppers. And they were big pieces of the tools, that they were not very small, and they were kind of a rough kind of tool, not very much polished, and very big tools were there. So cleavers and choppers and hand axes. Okay? So these three were characteristic tool of the Lower Paleolithic. Then you write in Middle Paleolithic, characteristic tools were blades and burines. So in Middle Paleolithic, characteristic tools were blades and burines. Characteristic tools were blades and burines. ठीक है? So these tools, ठीक है? Earlier these tools were quite kind of rough and in various shapes, ठीक है? So particularly these were in the various shape, but uh, these particular stone tools, they were rectangular in shape. Rectangular in shape. So Middle Paleolithic were rectangular in shape, and then Lower Paleolithic it will become triangular. Okay? So not lower, upper. So next you write in Upper Paleolithic. In Upper Paleolithic, the characteristic tools were in Upper Paleolithic. The characteristic tools were blades and points. Blades and points. Here you say that here also blade is there and here also blade is there. But the difference between the two blades is that okay, this was rectangular in shape and this is triangular in shape. So these were triangular in shape. Triangular in shape. Okay, so these were the initially in the this Paleolithic era. Now come to the Mesolithic, and we have already talked about this Mesolithic era. That characteristic tools we read in the कहाँ पे पढ़ा था? हाँ, paintings में. And what was the name of the same? Microliths, yes, very good. So microliths were the characteristic tools, and they were very small and tiny tools, okay? And they facilitated in many things that it was easy to kill a animal from that microlith, and it was also easy to create some leisure activity from the same, and they created the Mesolithic painting from the use of the microlith, okay? So you write, next you write Mesolithic phase. So next is your Mesolithic phase. And this one was there from, it is said that it got ended at 10,000, but in books it is written that Mesolithic got started from the 9,000 BC. Okay? So 9,000 BC to 4,000 BC. It was there. So 9,000 BC to 4,000 BC. Mesolithic phase was there. So we characteristic tool likho. So you write the characteristic tool of this period. The characteristic tool of this period were microliths. Were microliths. The characteristic tools of this period were microliths, which were small and tiny. Small and sharp लिखना, tiny मत लिखना, small and sharp, which were small and sharp. Okay. Then further you write the same information that you have written in the painting. Okay. So you write microliths facilitated easier killing of animals. Microliths facilitated easier killing of animals, and also create some leisure activity. Also create some leisure activity like Mesolithic painting. Like Mesolithic painting. Like Mesolithic painting. Okay? So that was the one thing. But this one we have studied. But one very new thing that we need to know, that was that major achievement of this period was the domestication of the animal. Okay? So this domestication of the animal started to happen in the Mesolithic period. So you write the major achievement of this period. The major achievement of this period was the domestication of animal. Was the domestication of animal. Domestication of animal. And which particular animals could be considered as the first to be domesticated? Dog was the one, and then cattle were the second. Okay? So horse, cattle, dog, and goat. Okay? So you write horse, cattle, dog, and goat. Horse, cattle, dog, and goat. Bakri. Okay? So were the first animals to be domesticated. Which one? Burjum, Neolithic, maybe we'll talk about the same, where they were found with their masters. Okay? That is not in the Mesolithic period. So this was there. Then further, right, the evidence of the domestication of animal has been found at the evidence of the domestication of animal has been found at Adamgarh in Madhya Pradesh. AADAM, Adamgarh in Madhya Pradesh. So this is the first evidence of the domestication of animal that we used to get in India. So this was there in the Mesolithic period. Okay? And painting में क्या था? We have already discussed. Painting में Mesolithic painting varied themes were there. So varied themes were there, and we talked about those themes also. So how some inferences from the same we also talked about. Okay? And then we talked about that Mesolithic painting compared to the modern Indian painting. So you can always incorporate the same thing over here. So links maintain कर सकते हो. Then now come to the Neolithic phase. So next is your Neolithic phase. Neolithic phase, and this Neolithic, it was from the 4000 BC to the incoming till the incoming of Indus Valley civilization. Okay? So 4000 BC till IVC, and IVC is said to be started in the 2500. So 4000 BC to. So this was there, and in this period what happened? That major, we are studying this in terms of the stone tools used by them. So you see that initially blades and burins and this hand access cleavers and choppers, blades and points, they were in the Paleolithic period, and later they were becoming smaller. सबसे पहले वाले में upper Paleolithic में it was a bigger tool, and then it became a little bit smaller. उसके बाद then upper Paleolithic में it became more smaller, and here in Mesolithic it became very small. ठीक है? But in Neolithic what they did कि here onwards they started to polish the stone tools. The polishing of the stone tools started in the Neolithic period. ठीक है? So you write stone tools were polished. Stone tools were polished in this phase, and due to polishing it becomes more sharp. Okay? So which provides more sharpness to the tools, more sharpness to the tools. Okay? Then after the tools, what was the major achievement of this period? Yeah, what? Sedimentary. No, sedimentary we cannot say, but agriculture we can say. Okay? So agricultural practices started. Okay? So agricultural practices started, and it was the first time when some kind of agriculture, some kind of this thing was developing, and further there were major developments in the pottery also. Some kind of pottery was also developing. So wheel was made. The wheel, we know that wheel was made, and people started to use fire frequently. Fire which was earlier discovered but was not used frequently. But here onwards they started to use it very frequently. Okay? So you write agricultural practices practices started especially in northwest frontier province. Started especially in northwest frontier province. Northwest frontier province. And you write evidence from where we have got the evidence. So you write that evidence of the same we get from Mehergarh in the present day Pakistan. Okay? So Mehergarh in the present day Pakistan. It is nearby Peshawar. So Mehergarh in the present day Pakistan. The present day Pakistan. Then further you write wheel was also invented. Wheel was also invented. Wheel was also invented in this period, and it is also known for emergence of pottery. Wheel was also invented in this period, and wheel was also invented in this period, and pottery also emerged in this period. Pottery also emerged in this period. ठीक है? And then हाँ बोलो.
Agriculture surplus was there.
हाँ, I'm coming to the same. हाँ, agriculture surplus and then it led to the urbanization. ठीक है?
Pottery का concept भी उसी से आया ना. Agriculture surplus.
हाँ, agriculture surplus है. बिल्कुल हाँ. हाँ, एकदम same. You can see it in my notes also. I have written the same thing. ठीक है? So agricultural surplus led to this emergence of pottery also, and then later it led to the emergence of the urban civilization also, and that's how it got culminated into the IVC. ठीक है? So we have already talked about that agricultural surplus, how it led to the Indus Valley civilization. ठीक है? So pottery ये लिख लिया. Then you write frequent use of fire also became common. Also became common. Then we need to talk about the megalithic burials in this particular Neolithic phase. Okay? So one more important feature was the first you listen that what was this megalithic burial. So just one. So megalithic burial. So first you tell me that what do you understand by this megalith? Big stones. Okay? So megaliths are the big stones. So basically in this period what has been found that in Neolithic that people were cremated or buried in their graves, and then they were covered with big stones. Okay? So big stones were their graveyards were covered with the big stones. But also in this megalithic burials, these people were also accompanied with their pottery. Okay? And in this period they were domesticated. Pottery vessels एक ही हो जाएगा, ठीक है? And they are domesticated animal. And there is one instance, animal also. So dog was buried along with his master, and one of the Neolithic site which is there in the Burzholm, which is in the present day Kashmir. So here a dog was buried with his master. Okay? So all the things that were used by the person, or not all the things, but few things which were used by the person were buried along with him. And also in one instance in this particular place, a dog was buried with his master. Okay? So this is the megalithic burial. So you write that some sites of Neolithic phase, are known for megalithic burial. Where a person was buried with some of his belongings, some of his belongings, some of his belongings. And in one instance, and in one instance, at Bur's home in Kashmir, and in one instance, at Bur's home in Kashmir, a dog was buried with his master. Was buried with his master. So this year, when this question came, horse remains. So they can also ask this dog remain. ठीक है? So बड़े जानवर से धीरे धीरे छोटे जानवर पे आएंगे. फिर rat remains. ठीक है? तो germ remains. So many things would be there. So this was there in the Neolithic phase. Okay? So one thing that I said to you that after this Neolithic phase was we came to the Indus Valley civilization. Okay? But one thing we need to know that Chalcolithic जब बात किया था, Indus Valley we have already covered, but Chalcolithic we haven't talked. So Chalcolithic is not a civilization. First you need to know that Chalcolithic is not a civilization, it's a culture. And it existed even at the time of the Indus Valley civilization. ठीक है? तो ये Indus Valley civilization के time पे भी था और Indus Valley civilization के बाद भी था. ठीक है? और even it is said that it was always there before the Indus Valley civilization. So basically, what is the meaning of this Chalcolithic culture? Yes, very good. हाँ, copper, use of the copper plus stone. ठीक है? So whenever this use of copper plus stone started, yeah, whoever who was using copper plus stone, so it meant that they were following the Chalcolithic culture. ठीक है? So Chalcolithic culture cannot be just confined into 1800 to 1500, but it was already existing in other parts of India when Indus Valley civilization was there in the Northwest Frontier province, and it was already there in the world. ठीक है? Already there in the world. And even when you will be asking na, कि Neolithic phase, where was this first agriculture started? So it is Syria. ठीक है? The example is Syria. Syria and Levant are the places which are considered as the beginning of the every new thing in this ancient period. So this domestication of animal, even the examples of the domestication of animal, you can find in Syria and Levant, and the first agriculture got started in the Syria and Levant. And even the first copper which was used was found there in the Syria and Levant. So yes, so it was already there. Okay? So in other parts of India, this Chalcolithic culture was already existing. But only in this western part, Indus Valley civilization was there, where bronze culture was developing. ठीक है? So that is the one thing. So IVC में एक बार अगर जो notes लाए हो तो मुझे एक बार बता दो कि what we have done, क्योंकि मुझे लग रहा है कि एक दो चीज मुझे और उसमें cover कराने हैं. No, we covered only IVC में we started from the did we started from the rivers? Did we start? We started from the rivers. Then after rivers and location, and did we talked about those sites of the IVC? All the sites, Koot DG, Chanudaro, these all sites. Okay. Then did we talked about the apart from the features, this trade relations? Which countries? Afghanistan, Sumer, Dilman, Oman. तो ओमान के आगे लिख लेना, ओमान was known as मकान. Yes, हाँ, तो ये information add कर लेना उसमें. Oman was known as मकान at that point of time. ठीक है? And there was one more, Iran and Pakistan coast, which is known as Magan. ठीक है? तो the present day Makrana coast. ठीक है? That is also one place from where they traded. ठीक है? So Iran and Makan. Then did we talked about the agricultural produce which was there in that time? What were the agricultural produces which were there in the Indus Valley civilization? बताओ क्या क्या? Rice was not there, ठीक है? Wheat, barley, pea, sesame, and rye. एक बार लिख लो क्रॉप्स. अभी एक स्टार्ट करते हैं, पहले उसके बाद लिख लेना. तो ये क्रॉप्स लिखना है, सारे क्रॉप्स नहीं लिखा है. एंड देन आफ्टर द क्रॉप्स द थिंग्स विच वर ट्रेडेड फ्रॉम दिस कंट्रीज. तो डिड ये लिखा है, what were the things which were traded with these countries? gold was traded. Yes, gold was traded. Agricultural produce. Afghanistan से 10, and from these areas copper and gold also, gold and silver also, and then they traded in agricultural produce also, and one more thing, that carnelian stone and amethyst stone, they were also traded, though they are rare but they were also traded. तो ये information इतना दो मुझे लग रहा था कि इतना दो छूटा हुआ है, ठीक है? So that we need to write, and then we'll talk about the end of the how it got ended, Indus Valley civilization. So we talked about that ecological changes which led to the decline of the same. But one more evidence we need to write related to the Aryan invasion theory, ठीक है? So that was left. तो उसको लिखेंगे, ठीक है? So इसमें पहले थोड़ा सा आगे लिख लो कि what you have written, what was the last line? ठीक है, buried with his master. Then you change the paragraph and you write in the Neolithic period. In the Neolithic period, which one? Rivers we have already done. No, Indus Valley के बाद Aryan period में rivers are important. ठीक है, तो 7-8 rivers would be there and their ancient names would be covered in the Aryan period. ठीक है, so लिखो इसको एक मिनट. So in the Neolithic period, several important crops were, लिखो, in the Neolithic period, several important crops begin to be cultivated. Begin to be cultivated, which led to surplus of agriculture. Which led to surplus of agriculture. Which led to surplus of agriculture. And finally, emergence of urban civilization. Finally, emergence of urban civilization in Northwest Frontier Province. In Northwest Frontier Province. ठीक है? Then we'll talk about the crops which were cultivated. तो लिखो कि which led to Northwest Frontier Province and the civilization is Indus Valley civilization. So you write the major crops of the Indus Valley. The major crops of the Indus Valley were wheat, barley. Then you write rye. Rye, you know what is rye? The small mustard, ठीक है? तो that rye, ठीक है? Rye. Then you write pea, mustard, sesamum, and tur. Sesamum and tur. So these were the important, and cotton also you write. Sesamum, tur, and cotton. Cotton. ठीक है? Then you write about what they traded with the other countries. ठीक है? So you write Indus Valley people used to trade. Indus Valley people used to trade copper, silver, and gold. Copper, silver, and gold to Dilmun, Mesopotamia, Sumer, Makan, and Magan countries. ठीक है? Dilmun, Makan, and Magan countries. तो copper, silver, gold. And you can also add cotton into the same, because in these countries cotton was not there. So cotton was it was exported from India to these countries. ठीक है? तो cotton was exported. You लिख लो, cotton was exported to these countries. Cotton was exported to these countries. Then did we talk about that dockyard, Lothal? ठीक है? So उसके बारे में थोड़ा सा लिख लो कि knowledge of the boat making fort making was also there, whose evidences can be found at, Lothal, Lothal, where a dockyard was found, Did we talk about the double burial? We didn't talk about, ठीक है? So इसको भी लिखो कि even the practices of the double burial, was found at Dholavira site. What do you understand by double burial? अपने अकॉर्डिंग बताओ, सोचो. एक आदमी को मार के खत्म कर दिया, फिर जिंदा किया, फिर दफना दिया. This could be the double burial? No. दो लोग एक साथ, ठीक है? So even this megalithic, here double burial means two human beings, not the human being and the animal, ठीक है? So double burial is found it over here, ठीक है? So it was there. Then कुछ और बचा हो इंडस वैली से? No, everything we have covered, and only thing the Aryan invasion. Okay, so you write at the climax of Indus Valley. Likho, at the climax of Indus Valley civilization. There used to inhabit around 60 lakh people. There used to inhabit 60 lakh people. And so पहले सुन लो कि what is this Aryan invasion theory. We have already talked about this ecological reasons. So and many historians, they believe that ecological factors were the one due to which it decline, this particular civilization declined. So what were those ecological factors? These ecological factors were drought, okay, then flood and inundation. So what is the difference between the flood and inundation? There is a difference, though both can be said as the synonym of each other, but there is the difference between the two, flood and inundation. So flood is the natural process, okay? Flood is the natural process, and inundation can be man-made. For example, that you are inundating your crop field, okay? So 2016 there was one question related with the inundation, okay? And इस साल का एक question देख के मुझे भी आश्चर्य हो रहा है, cryosphere, impact of the cryosphere on the global climate on this planet Earth. This is very bizarre question which has the UPSC has asked. बहुत ज़्यादा points नहीं मिलेंगे. So how many of you heard about the cryosphere? Geography completed in the classes? Okay. I'm not blaming, sir. I cannot blame. Because even I have just heard about the cryosphere, okay? And I know a little bit about the same. But how can I predict that cryosphere? UPSC will ask cryosphere. Cryosphere means Jupiter, Pluto. These all are in the cryosphere. So there's impact on the global climate. I don't know how it will be impacting. आज जाके search करूँगा. Huh? Which is? हाँ, you will have to drag it to the topic, ठीक है? So वो drag ही करना पड़ेगा, otherwise उसमें बहुत points नहीं मिलेंगे. हाँ, अभी के बाद क्या होगा? आज की जब papers खत्म हो जाएंगे, तो every institute will be having that answer, ठीक है? And somehow they will bring it in their notes. So, but आज जाके देखना कि मुझे भी मतलब उम्मीद नहीं था कि cryosphere सोचा भी नहीं था. So these were the regions that drought, flood, inundation, ठीक है? This could be considered as the and one more thing, that rivers change their course. That can also be said as rivers changed their course. So these are the ecological reasons of the decline of IBC. Okay? But there is an Aryan invasion theory, and which has been written in the Rig Veda. So we need to talk about the same. So in Rig Veda, it is written that there was a fight between the Aryan people and the local inhabitants of the northwest frontier province. Okay? And this battle was there at the one place. The name of the place was your Haryupia. Okay? So this battle was there, and historian used to say that this Haryupia battle is the present day Harappa battle. Okay? So Haryupia is identified with the Harappa, which says that even Aryan invasion theory cannot be negated, though it can be sublimed to the very little portion, but it cannot be negated. Okay? So that is there. So you write, apart from the ecological factors, apart from the ecological factors which led to decline of Indus Valley civilization, comma, many historians used to believe in Aryan invasion theory. Full stop. Then you write, whereby they give reference to a battle between Aryans and local inhabitants of Indus Valley. At a place called Haryupia. Local inhabitants at a place called Haryupia, which is mentioned in the Rig Veda. Okay? So there must have been some fight. Okay? This could be one reason also, not fully negated. Okay? So this one also, if at all, if it comes, जैसे आज का क्वेश्चन देख के मुझे भी लगा कि this Gupta period coins, तो Gupta period coins, though it can be brought into the art and culture, ठीक है, but it is also the part of the ancient and medieval, and ancient and medieval is not the part of the main syllabus, ठीक है. So something it is related to the polity of that period also, and their orientation, that how they transformed and how their coins didn't got that much importance, ठीक है. So we'll be talking about the same. No. Harappan peoples were the indigenous people. So they would be indigenous people. Aryan is different. We are coming to the Aryans. Okay? So now we'll start with the. Yes? No, there is no class between the two. अरे देखो, किसी को भी कुछ भी क्लेम करने दिया जा सकता है. It is democracy. Anybody can claim anything. Even any one of you can claim this Vision IAS is yours. ठीक है? So this is democracy. China में वो ये गुज्जर्स होते ना तो कुछ नहीं बोल पाते. ठीक है? So that would have been suppressed. So I'm not offensive to the Gujjars, but this is what I say. कि what happens in the democracy. So. And you read about the Padmavati also, that what happened over there. That people started to just, you are distorting our history, and they just burnt the studios. And so we'll come to Padmavati also in the medieval history. As he was the Jacqueline Fernandez. As he was considered as the queen of Sri Lanka. So reality is that one, that many theories are there. Yes, she was considered as the queen of this Sri Lanka, and this Ratan Singh, he won her and he brought over here. This is the one theory, and then one theory is according to the Malik Muhammad Jaisi. Okay? So we'll be talking about the same in the medieval history, not today. So wait till now. So we're going to start the Vedic period. नो वैदिक पीरियड के पहले वी नीड टू डू द चालकोलिथिक कल्चर, ठीक है. सो चालकोलिथिक कल्चर बिफोर, सॉरी गलत करवा दिया मैंने आप लोग, ठीक है. सो चालकोलिथिक पीरियड, चालकोलिथिक कल्चर, ठीक है. सो चालकोलिथिक कल्चर 4-5 लाइन्स आर देयर, ठीक है. सो यू राइट, लिख लो, ठीक है. सो यू राइट from 1800 onwards, from 1800 onwards, 1800 BC onwards, the people of Indus Valley, the people of Indus Valley, who fled to other adjoining areas, who fled to the people of Indus Valley, who fled to other adjoining areas, who fled to other adjoining areas, started the Chalcolithic culture, started the Chalcolithic culture, started the Chalcolithic culture, which means the use of copper and stone, which means the use of copper and stone, copper and stone, ठीक है. Then a few more things are there in the Chalcolithic period. We'll be talking about the major sites of the Chalcolithic culture which were there in India. But before that, one thing is there that even they also used a particular kind of pottery. So their pottery was ochre colored pottery. Okay? So in Indus Valley, you have read that it was a redware pottery, red color ka pottery tha. Here they started to use ochre colored pottery. And what is this ochre colored pottery? When this copper color of the copper is mixed in the clay, that becomes the ochre color. हल्का सा brownish color, ठीक है. तो light brownish color is the ochre colored pottery, which became the prominent feature of this period. Then also, though these people were kind of agriculturalists, ठीक है, and they were not having any urban orientation, but they brought one of the element of the Indian culture, and which is still continued. So that was the one कि they started to bury their people from north to south direction, ठीक है. So north to south direction, or at that point of time they were not burying their people inside the graveyards but inside their homes itself, ठीक है. तो अपने घर के अंदर ही bury करते थे, but from north to south direction, ठीक है. So this was the, that's how haunted houses are there, ठीक है. So you write about the first, you write about the ochre colored pottery. So you write the characteristic pottery of this period, the characteristic pottery of this period was ochre colored pottery, ochre colored pottery, ochre colored pottery, and in brackets you can write light brown, ochre colored pottery, light brown. Then you write Chalcolithic people also followed a particular type of burial practice, whereby they used to position their dead, in north south direction, in north south direction, and dead bodies were buried in the plinth of their houses, buried in the plinth, PLINTH, plinth of their houses, ठीक है. तो घर के अंदर ही चार दीवार में they used to bury, ठीक है. So this was the one thing. Then further write a few important sites of this this particular Chalcolithic culture. So you write prominent sites of the Chalcolithic period. Prominent sites. Prominent sites of this Chalcolithic period, and we'll start from the southeast Rajasthan. So you write in southeast Rajasthan, southeast Rajasthan, in southeast Rajasthan, two places were there, that is Ahar and Gilund. Ahar and Gilund. Southeast Rajasthan में present day में क्या होगा? हाँ, this Chambal Valley would be there, Kota and this part would be there. So here this Ahar and Gilund would be there. So Ahar and Gilund, two important sites were there. Then you write Malwa and Kayat in MP. Malwa and Kayat in MP. Malwa and Kayat in MP, and Daimabad in Maharashtra. Daimabad in Maharashtra. Daimabad in Maharashtra. ठीक है? So these were the important Chalcolithic sites. ठीक है? Ahar के बारे में एक चीज लिख लो कि this Ahar site which was there in the southeastern Rajasthan. So this was the Chalcolithic period. So it means that copper would be important. So copper was obtained from this site, Ahar, and it was known as Tambavati. ठीक है? So you write Ahar was the main source of copper. Ahar was the main source of copper, and that's why it was also known as Tambavati. That's why it was also known as Tambavati. Tambavati. Okay? Then what happened? So till 1500, this Chalcolithic culture, it was a kind of a rural thing. That you have already seen that Indus Valley civilization was an urban civilization. But this was a rural thing, that when this Indus Valley civilization declined, so people started to flee to the adjoining areas, okay? And they started this Chalcolithic culture. So by 1500, what happened? Some Central Asian tribesmen started to come. Okay? So इसमें क्या हुआ कि some Central Asian tribesmen started to come, and they defeated this indigenous people over there in the northwest frontier province also, and in this western part of India also, till Punjab and western UP. So they defeated these people and they established their own rule, okay? Their own kind of a civilization, and that civilization is known as the Vedic civilization. Okay? So what was the reason that why these Central Asian tribesmen, they were able to defeat this local people? हाँ बोलो. What was the reason? Their troops driven by the horses. That was the one reason. Okay? So they brought with themselves horses and chariots. Okay? तो रथ जो लेके निकलते हैं ना, तो that rath and chariots, which provided swiftness to their army, and that's how they were able to defeat, okay? Able to defeat these people. But at that point of time, their arms were also better than the arms which were used by this Chalcolithic people. But no iron was known in this period. Only copper was the main metal which was used by either by this Aryans also and Chalcolithic also. Okay? So that provided swiftness to their army, and that's how they defeated the local tribesmen. Okay? So further, after that, we'll be talking about the Vedic civilization. So isko likho ki by 1500 BC, several tribes from southern Russia and Central Asia. By 1500 BC, several tribes from southern Russia and Central Asia started to arrive in India. Full stop. Then you write, they were able to defeat the indigenous population. they were able to defeat the indigenous population of India due to their use of due to their use of horses and chariots. Due to their use of horses and chariots. Due to their use of horses and chariots, which provided swiftness to their army. Which provided swiftness to their army. ठीक है? Swiftness to their army. Full stop. And collectively, this Central Asian tribesmen and also the Southern Russian tribesmen, they are known as the Aryans. ठीक है? So you write these tribes were collectively known as Aryans. So now we'll start the Vedic period, and here we'll talk about these Aryans. So collectively known as Aryans. So your heading should be the Vedic period, and then we'll talk further about the Aryans. Okay? So Vedic period. We need to know that who were these Aryans. So if you go by the map of the world, so southern Russia में कौन-कौन से countries आएंगे? Which countries would be there? The Central Asian nations, the present day Central Asian nations. कौन-कौन से हैं? Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan. These countries, ठीक है? So these comes under the Central Asian, this particular. So we'll go by the southern, and also the part of Russia which surrounds that particular sea. What is the name of that sea? Black Sea, I think. Black Sea and अराल सी, ठीक है? बट अराल सी अब तो बिल्कुल ही खत्म हो चुका है. No. Black Sea. It will be Black Sea, ठीक है? तो area around that Black Sea, ठीक है? So southern Russia, and one more feature of the southern Russia is that कि you must have read in the geography, steppes field are there, ठीक है? So it is the region of the steppes. So basically, the Central Asian tribesmen and tribesmen from the southern Russia, they were from the steppes of this particular area, ठीक है? So steppes of this area, and these people were primarily they were nomadic and pastoralist, ठीक है? तो अभी लिखना नहीं, first you need to listen. So they were nomadic and pastoralist. What does it mean? Nomadic and pastoralist? हाँ, nomadic मतलब एक जगह से दूसरे जगह. They are traveling from one place to another place, and pastoralist means they were always in the search of a good pasture land, ठीक है? So which means that कि cattle was their important wealth, ठीक है? So cattle was their important wealth, and for that they were always on the move for search of a good pasture land. So basically these people were the pastoralists and nomadic, but we always, when we read about this Aryans, so we always used to say that they moved just into the India, not anywhere else. But they spread all across the world. So they were the linguistic people, ठीक है? They were not the racial people. That we need to know. कि they were the linguistic people. That is the most important thing. कि these Aryans they were not a racial group, but they were a linguistic people who used to speak Aryan language. ठीक है? They used to speak Aryan language. And what was that Aryan language? Sanskrit was one of the Aryan language, not the all of the Aryan language. So what all languages comes under the Aryan? So Sanskrit is the one, or batao? Yes, very good. Latin, Greek. ठीक है? 2 more I need to know. 3 more I need to know. No, Persian is not Aryan language. Persian is Arabic language. ठीक है? So German, Russian, and Polish. These are the Aryan languages. ठीक है? So Sanskrit, Latin, Greek, Russian, German, and Polish. Polish from the Poland. ठीक है? So these are the Aryan languages, and these Aryan languages were spoken by this Southern Asian tribesmen and people from the steppes. So these people, when they exhausted the pasture lands in these areas, so they started to move to the other parts of the world in search of the good pastoralist land, the good pasture land. So some of these linguistic people moved to the Germany. Okay? Some of these linguistic people moved to the other parts of the western part of the Europe, and few of them they moved towards the Indian subcontinent. Okay? So that's how there is a link between the Sanskrit and German, and that's how the link between these all languages, and that's how when you will be a diplomat, many of you will be putting first option as IFS. Okay? So you will be knowing that what is the importance of the Indo-Aryan languages, and in Germany, Sanskrit is taught, and in India, this German is taught. Okay? So it is there in all the other countries, and there was a kind of issue in Kendriya Vidyalayas, and there was a kind of memorandum of understanding between India and Germany that Sanskrit would be taught. And in the last year of the UPA government, what happened? Ki Sanskrit was to be scrapped from the Germany, and German was to be scrapped from the Kendriya Vidyalayas from the India. So that was the issue, and then it erupted, and then again it was resolved. So that language, then again Aryan language came into being, that came into picture, that why these are important. And these BJP people, they highlighted these kind of thing, that this must not happen. So even this is the part of the same. So that's how the similarity is there with the Sanskrit, Latin, Greek, and also with this particular languages. Okay? So these people were, Aryan people were the linguistic people who started to move in the other parts of the world in search of the good nomadic and good pasture land. Okay? And that's how they arrived in India. So the people who arrived in India, they brought with themselves the one of the Aryan language, and that Aryan language is your Sanskrit. Okay? So they brought the Aryan language, and after coming to India, what they did, that they first tried to compile the Rig Veda. So Rig Veda, okay? So Rig Veda kind of thing appeared due to incoming of these people, and this Rig Veda was in the Sanskrit, which gives the important information about the Aryans, and it gives the all political, economic, social history of the Aryans who inhabited India. So this was the first test. Then again, one of the branches of this Aryan languages, earlier in Iran, Persian was not there. Okay? Iran was also, Aryan languages were spoken in the Iran. So contemporary of this Rig Veda was the Parsi religion. Okay? And Avesta was written. When Rig Veda was written in India, so Avesta was written in the Iran region. So that's how you, when you will be reading, when you will be going through the books, so you will find few names which are similar in Rig Veda also, and which are there in the Avesta also. ठीक है? Zend mat likhna. Zend is a different text. We have already talked about the same. ये बाद में add किया गया था. But Avesta is the ancient text where you can find mention about the Indian hinterland, and in Rig Veda you can find mention about the Iranian hinterland. ठीक है? So this is there. Then further, one more thing, that though Sanskrit was there, ठीक है? And Sanskrit came with these people, and this was the first of the Aryan language which came to India. So what about the inscription in which the first evidence of this Aryan language was found? So inscription, we need to know about the inscription. पहले संस्कृत को ये बताओ कि initially Sanskrit was written in which particular script? Which one? Brahmi. ठीक है? So initially it was written in Brahmi. उसके पहले भी काफी सारी स्टोरी है. So initially Sanskrit was written in Brahmi script. ठीक है? Later, by the Gupta period, it was translated to Devanagari. ठीक है? So it was translated to Devanagari, but in this period, Aryan period, it was not written. ठीक है? And even the Rig Veda existed in the Shruti tradition. What do you understand by Shruti tradition? Yes, oral tradition. So Rig Veda was, though we used to write, Rig Veda was compiled, Rig Veda was written. But reality is that it was not written, it was in the Shruti tradition. And Shruti tradition में क्या होता था कि the information was passing from one person to another. And rote memorization of the mantras were there. तो students को बैठा के उनको कभी-कभी instances पढ़ोगे कि मेढक की तरह रटाया जाता था. ठीक है? So, manduk kind of thing. So, that was rote memorization, and it was in the Shruti tradition. And first time when this Sanskrit, yeah, any Aryan language, which was started, which was in the writing, that was in 3 inscriptions. Okay? Not in Brahmi, not in Devanagari. It was Mitanni, Hittite, and Kassite inscription. ठीक है. So these were the initial inscription in which the Aryan languages were written. ठीक है. And Aryan languages may not just Sanskrit but all the other. ठीक है. So these were the initial inscription, and later this Sanskrit got written in the Brahmi inscription. ठीक है. So कुछ confusion हो रहा है इसमें अभी? बताओ कहाँ पे बताओ? Because we need to clarify. धीरे धीरे topics complex होंगे, but you need to understand. Once more, I repeat once more. ठीक है. So पहले तो first you see that these people who were the Aryans. ठीक है. तो Aryans were the one who came from the southern Russia, Central Asia. ठीक है. And they were nomadic and pastoralists. ठीक है. But I said to you that they were not the racial people. Racial people का मतलब क्या हो जाएगा? हाँ. On the basis of genetical features which used to appear from the external appearance. ठीक है. So physical appearance से तुम पता कर सकते हो कि these are the different genetical peoples are there. So they were not the racial people. ठीक है. But they were the group of the people who used to speak a common language, and that common language was the Aryan language, which later got divided into this much languages. ठीक है. So initially they used to speak in the Aryan languages, and these Aryan languages were Polish, German, Russian, Sanskrit, Latin, and Greek. ठीक है. So these were there. So these languages, they were spoken, they were not written. ठीक है. And for the first time when they were written, so they were written in these kind of inscriptions. ठीक है. So Mittite, Mitanni, Hittite, and Kassite. So initially they were written in these kind of inscription, and then after when Sanskrit, so we will leave this German, Russian, Latin सब यहाँ छोड़ दिया हमने. We'll be focusing on Sanskrit. तो when Sanskrit came into India, ठीक है, by 1500, तो initially it was not written. शुरू में इसको लिखा नहीं जाता था. It was the knowledge of the Sanskrit was passing from the rote memorization. The mantras were transferred from one person to another person in a kind of a classroom setup. ठीक है. So classroom setup में students को सिखाया जाता था, वो पढ़ते थे और वो किसी और को पास करते थे. ठीक है. So that was the case. But by the this Maurya sage, ठीक है. So ये 600, 1500 से 1500 to 600, it was the, this was the case of the 600. This was the case of the Vedic period. But when the Buddha and these people came, ठीक है, Buddha and Mahavir Jain came, so then Pali and Prakrit became the main language, ठीक है, which also got derived from the Sanskrit, and here onwards Pali and Prakrit onwards the Brahmi script came into being. ठीक है. तो जब Brahmi script पहली बार आया तो Pali और Prakrit भी उसमें लिखा गया, and then Sanskrit was also written in the Brahmi script. ठीक है. So this was the first time around 6th century AD Sanskrit was written. This Pali and Sanskrit was started. The people started to write the Sanskrit on the papers and all other things. But उसके पहले it was only on the oral tradition, Shruti tradition. ठीक है. Which one? Junagadh inscription. That is Sakas. Sakas in the AD. That is in Chest Sanskrit. Chest Sanskrit. Okay? So we'll be talking about the same Junagadh inscription. So here what we are talking कि 600 के onwards it was written. उसके पहले it was not written at all. That is the major confusion. Okay? So these are the names of the inscription, not which language. We cannot say any language. So first you need to understand what is the language and what is inscription. तुम चलो मुझे एक चीज बताओ, किस inscription में लिख रहे हो अभी? Information. You please answer. Which inscription you are writing right now? No. It's a plain question that's to make things understandable to you. हाँ, you are writing in the Roman English. So Roman English is your inscription. ठीक है? Roman is the inscription. ठीक है? And you are writing it in English. English is the language. ठीक है? So these are the inscription. ठीक है? These are the inscription. Particular kind of, जैसे बच्चे ऐसे ऐसे लिखते हैं, कुछ ऐसे इस टाइप का inscription होगा. ठीक है? So this is the inscription. ठीक है? And all these languages initially they were written in these 3 inscriptions. ठीक है? But when Sanskrit came to India, no inscription was used. That I wanted to convey. No inscription was used, and by 600 BC, one inscription came into being, and that inscription was your Brahmi. And then people started to write the Sanskrit, which was existing in the oral tradition. उसके बाद दिन उसको लिखना start किया. और by the Gupta period, everything was compiled. ठीक है? Even in the Asoka period, most of the Vedas of the which are there, Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Sam, and Atharveda, all of them were written in the Brahmi Sanskrit in the अशोका पीरियड ओनली. नो, गुप्ता पीरियड तो बाद में उसको देवनागरी में शिफ्ट किया. ठीक है? सो इट वॉज रिटन इन द मौर्य. एवरीथिंग विल बी राइटिंग, अभी लिखवा दूंगा सब कुछ. ठीक है? तो इट वॉज रिटन इन द मौर्य पीरियड. ठीक है? एंड देन आफ्टर दैट गुप्तास केम इन टू बींग इन 230 AD. ठीक है? मौर्यस कब थे? 300, अराउंड 300 BC. So here Sanskrit was written in the Brahmi. And then when Guptas came by 230 AD, so here onwards this Sanskrit was written in Devanagari. And now onwards this Devanagari was followed, and आज भी इसको देवनागरी में लिखते हैं. ठीक है? So और कोई confusion हो तो बताओ. Otherwise रिटन में नहीं था, कुछ भी राइट नहीं करते थे. स्लोली दिस स्टार्टेड, मतलब फ्रॉम द एज ऑफ द बुद्धा. एग्जैक्टली नहीं बोल सकते कि 600 पे ही स्टार्ट हुआ, बट ये बोल सकते हैं कि अराउंड 650, 640. सो दे स्टार्टेड टू राइट समथिंग. ठीक है? एंड स्लोली द इंस्क्रिप्शन इमर्ज्ड एज अ दिस ब्राह्मी स्क्रिप्ट. ठीक है? तो व्हाट वी नीड टू राइट, फर्स्ट वी नीड टू स्टार्ट फ्रॉम द आर्यंस. ठीक है? सो यू राइट आर्यंस इनहैबिटेड the steppes of southern Russia Aryans inhabited the steppes of southern Russia and Central Asia. ठीक है? They were nomadic and pastoralist. They were nomadic and pastoralist. They were nomadic and pastoralists who were always on the move. In search of a good pasture land. Then you change the paragraph. After changing the paragraph, you write Aryans were a linguistic group. And you underline this linguistic group. So Aryans were a linguistic group who used to speak Aryan languages. Who used to speak Aryan languages. ठीक है? Initially, these Aryan languages were written in. And then you write those three: Mitanni, Hittite, and Kassite inscription. Were written in Mitanni, Hittite, and Kassite inscription. Mitanni, Hittite, and Kassite inscription. ठीक है? Then you write. Further you write. One of the branch of this Aryans came to India. And brought with themselves one of the Aryan language. Brought with themselves one of the Aryan language, that is Sanskrit. ठीक है? तो अपने साथ संस्कृत लेके आए. ठीक है? Then further you write, initially initially the knowledge of the Sanskrit language, initially the knowledge of Sanskrit language was there in Shruti tradition. Initially, the knowledge of which one? What does it mean?
अनुश्रुति
Okay, so
जो सामने बैठ के बोलते हैं वो अनुश्रुति
that could be very specific. ठीक है, that could be very specific, but we'll write Shruti tradition. ठीक है, so you write in Shruti tradition, and you write Shruti tradition में लिखो oral tradition. In brackets you write oral tradition. In Shruti tradition, and in brackets you write oral tradition, full stop. Then further you write oral tradition. Then Rigveda was compiled in Sanskrit. Rigveda was compiled in Sanskrit, but it was also in oral tradition. But it was also in oral tradition. But it was also in oral tradition. ठीक है? Then you will be writing कि only by the incoming of age of Buddha and Mahavir, people started to write Sanskrit in a particular inscription. That is Brahmi. ठीक है? So now it is clear. लिखने के बाद थोड़ा clear हो गया कि what is there? Brahmi. ठीक है? Then further write. Rigveda was the first book which was compiled by the Aryans. ठीक है? Compiled by the, and it gives important information of Rigvedic polity, economy and society. Rigvedic polity, economy and society. तो दिस मच यू अंडरस्टूड. ठीक है, देन एक और लिख लेते हैं, एक और दिस ऋग्वेदा का कंटेम्प्ररी ऑफ द ऋग्वेदा was Iranian text of Avesta. Contemporary of the Rigveda was Iranian text of Avesta. Where many common places are mentioned. For example, Indian rivers are mentioned in Avesta. And Iranian hinterland is mentioned in Rigveda. Iranian hinterland, Hinterland, hinterland is mentioned in Rigveda. ठीक है? So they were the contemporaries. Ab, what we need to do and what we are going to see. So we'll start the Vedic period. So this Rig Veda was the initial text which was compiled by this Rigvedic people and Aryan people. So this Vedic period. So we will read this Vedic period in two headings and we will further subdivide it into two periods. So this Vedic period, initially it is called as, in the beginning it is early Vedic period and then later Vedic period. Later Vedic period. Okay? And this early Vedic period, many a times you will find that this early Vedic period is written as Rigvedic period. Okay? So it means same Rigvedic period. And then this early Vedic period. No, we are not coming to that. We'll go by the chronology. No, no. We'll come to that in 4th century BC itself and Patanjali in 2nd century BC itself. Okay? So that we'll talk. And initially it was written in Brahmi. Okay? Later it was translated into the Devanagari. Okay? So Rigvedic period, and this was from the 1500 to 1000 BC. Okay? And then this one 1000 BC to 600 BC. So first we'll talk about this early Vedic period, that is Rigvedic period. Early Vedic period or Rigvedic period. So how we are going to proceed in this early Vedic period or Rigvedic period? So what headings we'll be discussing over here? So early Vedic period in both of them. So we will look into the economy of this period. Okay? Then we will look into the polity of this period. Then we'll look into the religion of this period. And then we'll look into the this society, also society, and then last would be the religion. Okay? So what was there in the society, what was there in the religion, and what was there in the polity, and what was there in the economy. Okay? So that all heading, these all headings would be there in this also, and it will be there in this also. Okay? So we'll talk about the same. So first you write early Vedic period. Early Vedic period. Okay? And in this early Vedic period, first we need to know names of few rivers, okay, which were there. Okay? So first we need to know the topography which is mentioned in the this Rigvedic text. Okay? So few important rivers. First you write few important rivers of this period. Few important rivers of this period. Okay? Then you tell which one was the most important river of this period. Saraswati was the most sacred, not important. There's a difference between the sacred and important. ठीक है? ये हमेशा ध्यान रखना. अभी तुम लोग इसी डिस्कशन पे आओगे काऊ वाले पे. तो cow was the most important animal of the Vedic period, not the most sacred. ठीक है? So here, so most important river was your Indus या Sindhu लिखना. तो first is your Sindhu, and Sindhu is the present day Indus. ठीक है? तो this was the, और इसके आगे लिखना most important. Most important. Okay? Then after Saraswati, this Sindhu, next you write Saraswati. Saraswati, okay? And it is also known as Harkavati. Harkavati, okay? And it is the present day Ghaggar Hakra channel. Present day Ghaggar Hakra channel in Haryana and Punjab. Channel in Haryana and Punjab. Okay? So this Saraswati was also known as Harkavati. Okay? And it is the present day Ghaggar Hakra channel in Haryana and Punjab. Okay? And then इसी में आगे लिखो कि most sacred river. Most sacred river. Then one more name you write about the Saraswati. This is Nadi Tarna. 3 names are given. So I just forgot. Nadi Tarna. Okay? 3 names of Saraswati is there. Saraswati, Harkavati and Nadi Tarna. Okay? Then you write Vipasa, not Basu, ठीक है? So this is Byas river, Vipasa. Then is your Vitasta, Vitasta, yes, Jhelum. And then Askini, बताओ? Yes, very good, Chenab. और लास्ट वाले का नाम बताओ, सतलुज का नाम बताओ, सुतुद्री, ठीक है? तो सुतुद्री, सतलुज. And Ravi you already know. Ravi ka, what was the name of the Ravi? Parushni. So these rivers were known in the early Vedic period, and in later Vedic period we'll talk about the two more rivers which were known to these people. Okay? So these were the few important rivers in the initially. Which one? Sutudri. Shutudri. Sutudri is the Satluj. Askini is the Chenab. So these were the important rivers. Okay? Then now come to the economy. Your heading should be the economy of the early Vedic period. Okay? So economy of early Vedic period. So I hope that your ethics classes are going to start from next week. कब से? No, I have idea because I'll get some relief after that. So from continuous classes, so I think it is going to start very soon. हाँ, तब तक पेपर भी एनालाइज कर लोगे तुम लोग. Okay. Tomorrow your ethics paper would be in your hand. So आज तो ये हो जाएगा. So economy of early Vedic period. Economy of early Vedic period. ठीक है? So before moving into this economy, we started our discussion from that who were these Aryans. So Aryans were their nomadic and pastoralists. ठीक है? So nomadic, or they were always on the move in search of a good pasture land. So what does it suggest? That what was their greatest wealth? Cattle. ठीक है? So cattle was their greatest wealth. ठीक है? And only for the cattle they were in search of the good pasture land. ठीक है? So cattle was their greatest wealth, and this was the region for which they came to Indian hinterland. ठीक है? In search of the good pasture land. ठीक है? And here they found good pasture land, and that's how they defeated these people to live over here. ठीक है? So this was the most important wealth, and this cattle. So how we come to know about the cattle was the greatest wealth? Because some names are given in the Rig Veda which suggest that cattle are the most important. So these names are as follows, which are one word is Gavisti, one word is Gavyu, ठीक है? Gosu, Gopajanya, ठीक है? So these all words suggest cow, ठीक है? Here Gavisti means search for cow, ठीक है? Then and these all three means cow, ठीक है? So these are frequently mentioned, which says that ki cattle was the most important wealth, ठीक है? So you write cattle was the greatest wealth of the Aryans. Cattle was the greatest wealth of the Aryans. And it has been mentioned more than 176 times. It has been mentioned more than 176 times in Rig Veda. With following names. And then you write this Gavisti, Gavyu, Gos, Gopajanya. ठीक है? So Gavisti को लिखना आगे search for the cow, and Gavyu, Gos, these were the cow. Gopajanya. ठीक है? Then one more term we need to write, two more terms we'll be writing, ठीक है? So पहले इतना लिख लो, then terms are important in ancient Indian history. They will give you the term what does Gavesti stands for, and then you need to answer the same, ठीक है? So search for the cow. Then two more terms which are important over here. So two more terms associated with the cow that we need to know. So one term which is mentioned in the Rig Veda, there is one term which is known as Aghanya, ठीक है? And Aghanya means कि हाँ, इसका मीनिंग क्या होना चाहिए अघन्य का? Yes, which should not be killed, ठीक है? तो one that which should not be killed, and that is the cow, ठीक है? So here, which should not be killed, and what is that? That is cow. So which should not be killed, and it was mentioned in the reference to the cow, okay? So why this was so? This we need to define, that why this was so, that why they used to say that cow must not be killed, okay? And in very few instances it is there. It was not because of the sacred thing associated with the cow, but the economical thing associated with the cow. The economical value of the cow was more than the anything, so that's why it was prescribed that it should not be killed. तो लिखो कि अघन्य, अघन्य, which means अघन्य, which means, फिर से लिख लो क्योंकि फिर दिन पूरा context गायब हो जाएगा. अघन्य, which means not to be killed, which means not to be killed, which means not to be killed, is referred to cattle, is referred to be cattle, is referred to the cattle, ठीक है? The reference is about economical value of the cattle, economical value of the cattle, not the sacred value, not the sacred value, economical value of the cattle and not the sacred value, ठीक है? तो sacred value associate ही नहीं करते थे. There was no concept of the sacredness with the cow at that point of time, but it was most important because it was the economically it was quite valued, ठीक है? So that was one. Then a second term comes into the picture, ठीक है? Which says Goghana, ठीक है? So Goghana was one term, and what does it mean? Eating cow, ठीक है? So eating beef or cow. So why this was written? So in which context this was written? अभी लिखो नहीं, अभी सुन लो, ठीक है? तो Goghana was written. तो it is Goghana means that here it was many places in the Rig Veda. This was written that whenever any guest used to come to the house of the people, ठीक है? So they used to serve him the most most important thing of theirs, and that was the cow. So they were served with the most important wealth of theirs, and that was the cow, and they were served with the beef. So beef eating was prevalent in the Rigvedic period. And in one of the class over here itself, somebody said to me, sir ऐसा नहीं हो सकता है. तो I said, ऐसा क्यों नहीं हो सकता है? कि सर ये गलत लिखा हुआ है. तो मैं बोला अरे यार बुक्स में लिखा हुआ है, हम थोड़ी चेंज कर देंगे. तो ही सेड सर मैं जब IAS बन जाऊंगा तो मैं इसको चेंज कर दूंगा. सो आई डोंट नो दैट हाउ मच पावर ही एसोसिएट विद द IAS. मोदी जी को भी इतना पावर नहीं है कि वो ये चेंज कर दें, ठीक है? सो this is written, and beef eating was there. And even when you will be going through now, Ambedkar is very important. So when you will be going through the writings of the Ambedkar, so there was a conversation between the Gandhi and Ambedkar, okay? So Gandhi ji was a kind of a follower of the orthodox kind of a Hinduism. So Ambedkar quoted to him this particular line of the Rig Veda where it was written that beef eating was prevalent, okay? So that kind of thing is there. So he tried to justify this thing, okay? And even if you are writing some kind of essays or something, so you can mention a bit, not a lot, but you can mention a bit, okay? पता नहीं किस करवट कौन सा बैठ जाए तो फिर दिन दिक्कत हो जाएगी. So we don't know कि we need to follow the middle path, not the this one. So you write one more term, Goghana. One more term, Goghana, which means which means eating beef, which means eating beef was in reference to was in reference to was in reference to the meal that was served to the guest. The meal that was served to the guest. The meal that was served to the guest. And it also marks respect towards the guest. It also marks respect towards the guest as 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 people are serving their most important wealth to the guest. People are serving their most important wealth to the guest. Okay, so this was the one thing. This was about the cow. That cow was the most important wealth. Okay, and then few things associated with them. Then further, one more kind of this period. In this period, there was no taxation system. Okay, there was no taxation, but there was a kind of voluntary contribution from the people. Okay, and that voluntary contribution was known as Bali. Okay, so you write, no taxation was there in this period. No taxation was there in this period. No taxation was there in this period. But people used to contribute voluntarily. But people used to contribute voluntarily, which is known as Bali. Which is known as Bali. So this was about the economic wealth of theirs. Now come to the polity of the early Vedic period. So your next heading would be polity of early Vedic period. What happened? So, yes. हाँ हाँ. Which one? No. People used to contribute to the authority. Authority we'll discuss over here. To which authority?
किंग होता था राजन बोलते थे वो नेम का किंग था.
He was a tribal chiefsman. ठीक है? He was a tribal chieftain. He was not a kind of a king. ठीक है? And एक और चीज कि these Aryans were not just one group. They were several groups, several tribesmen there. ठीक है? तो जो इंडिया में आए, different kinds of tribes came from the southern Russia and then this east Central Asia. ठीक है? So many different names of the tribes you will see further. ठीक है? So they used to come to India and उनका जो एक tribe का group होता था उसका एक head होता था. One head used to be there and that was a chieftain and he was called as the Rajan. But originally he was not a kind of a king. ठीक है? So he was a kind of a oligarch, not a monarch. ठीक है? So it was there. So you write कि the most important functionary of this period was Rajan. Of this period was Rajan. Who was basically a tribal chieftain. Who was basically a tribal chieftain. ठीक है? Tribal chieftain. ठीक है? Then further you write the most important political activity. The most important political activity of Rajan. The most important political activity of Rajan was to organize battle battle against his adversaries. Was to organize battle against his adversaries to secure cattle. ठीक है? तो every war was fought for the cattle. ठीक है? तो to secure cattle. So for securing cattle, these battles were happening. ठीक है? Then further, in this endeavor, to fight against their adversaries and secure cattle, so Raja was supported by few assemblies. ठीक है? So these assemblies, so in all the political and judicial functions, Raja was this Rajan, not Raja. Rajan was he was supported by few assemblies. ठीक है? So these assemblies were Sabha, Sabiti, and Vidhata. ठीक है? And what was the major work of these three? That political and judicial functions. ठीक है? And Sabha was, this was the most important. ठीक है? So this was the most important, and this was the group of elders. ठीक है? Group of elders. Women's were also part of the same. ठीक है? So here women's were also part of same, and then Samiti was less exclusive than the Sabha. It was less exclusive, but it did had some political and judicial functions, and we don't know particularly the nature of the Vidhata. ठीक है? But we know that women were part of the Vidhata. ठीक है? So that was there. So women were part of this Vidhata. तो you write, लिखो इसमें कि in his political endeavor, Rajan was supported by, in his political endeavor, Rajan was supported by three assemblies. Rajan was supported by three assemblies, which are as follows. ठीक है? Then you write Sabha. You write, this was the most important assembly. Sabha was the most important assembly. And it was a group of elders. Full stop. Then you write, women were also the part of this assembly. ठीक है? Then further you write, अच्छा, एक चीज मैंने बोला कि समिति वॉज लेस एक्सक्लूसिव. तो एक्सक्लूसिव का मतलब क्या होता है, पहले बताओ. लेस एक्सक्लूसिव. अच्छा, एक्सक्लूसिव सिर्फ एक्सक्लूसिव मतलब क्या हो गया? इफ आई से दैट सभा वर मोर एक्सक्लूसिव. तो मोर एक्सक्लूसिव मीन्स मतलब सिर्फ एल्डर्स होंगे और विमेन होंगे. ठीक है? और लेस एक्सक्लूसिव में क्या होगा कि इसमें मेंबर्स ज्यादा होंगे. ठीक है? तो यू राइट समिति also performed political and judicial functions. Samiti also performed political and judicial function, but it was less exclusive than Sabha. ठीक है? And then you write Vidhata या विधत. ठीक है? So in Vidhat you write, the original function of Vidhata is not very clear. But women were also the part of Vidhata. And actually, why this is not clear, but when this was not from the references, when it was not becoming very clear, तो many historians they have written कि religious function था इसका. ठीक है? तो कुछ जगह पे religious function लिख सकते हो, तो उसी में brackets में लिख लो कि according to many historians, Vidhata was associated with religious functions. then we need to talk about the one of the battle which changed the history of this particular Indian territory. ठीक है? So one battle in polity में ही हम discuss करेंगे. So दसराजन वार. इसी में polity में ही we'll discuss. So दसराजन वार. So what was there in this Dasarajan war? So first you listen that what was there in this Dasarajan war. So as I said that these Aryans were the several tribesmen, okay? They were not just one tribesman, but they were several tribesmen, okay? Who belonged to that particular steppes region, and then they came to India, okay? So when they came to this part, so several tribesmen were there and their own chieftains were there, okay? Who were known as the Rajans. So one of the very important and the most powerful tribesmen was there, Bharatha. Okay? So Bharat clan was there. So this was the one of the clan which was the one of the tribe which was the most powerful. Okay? So this Bharatha clan, this was the one, and the priest of the head priest of this Bharatha clan was your Vishwamitra. Okay? So Vishwamitra was the head priest. So what happened? Ki due to the help of the Vishwamitra, he was about this Bharata clan. They were able to defeat many other tribal chieftains, and then captured some 3-4 areas in the this northwest frontier province. Then suddenly what happened? Ki one more rishi came into being. Okay? He was the rishi, okay? Vishwamitra rishi, and then one more rishi came into being, and who was more popular and who was more knowledgeable than the Vishwamitra. And he was the, who was there? Batao. Vasishtha rishi. Yes. So he was the Vasishtha rishi. So Vasishtha was there. So what happened? Ki one of the king of this Bharata clan, whose name was Sudas. Okay? So Sudas, what he did? Ki he just replaced Vishwamitra with the Vasishtha. Okay? So Vasishtha became the head priest of this clan. And then what happened? Ki he was kind of provoked by the same thing. He was feeling jealous also, and he was insulted also. And then what he did? That he collected the 10 Rajan, 9 Rajans. Okay? So he collected 9 Rajans, out of which 5 Rajans were the Aryans. 5 were Aryans and rest of them were non-Aryans. तो non-Aryans में जो indigenous Indians थे, ठीक है? तो rest were non-Aryans. तो ये 9 और this one, they fought on a battle happened because of this rivalry between the Vishwamitra and the Rajan, Sudas, ठीक है? Not Vasishtha, but Vishwamitra and Sudas, ठीक है? So because of that, a battle was fought at the banks of river Parushni, ठीक है? And Ravi river. And this battle was called as the Dasarajan war. In this war, Sudas became the victorious, okay? And then after, the whole territory was known as the Bharatavarsha. After his clan, the whole territory was known as the Bharatavarsha, and that's how the name Bharat came into the being, okay? So this is the history. Then we'll talk about that ki what he did with these people. ठीक है? तो इसके बाद बात करेंगे कि what he did with these people. So first you write कि दसराजन वॉर में लिखो कि भारत clan was the most powerful clan of the Aryans. Was the most powerful clan of the Aryans. Then you write, the head priest of this clan was Vishwamitra. The head priest of this clan was Vishwamitra. Head priest of this clan was Vishwamitra. With the help of Vishwamitra, the Bharata ruler Sudas, with the help of Vishwamitra. ठीक है, he was the head priest, तो he was the mind behind that particular acquiring the territories, ठीक है. So with the help of Vishwamitra, the Bharata ruler Sudas captured 3-4 territories, 3-4 34 नहीं, 3 या 4 ऐसे ही लिखा हुआ है, 3 or 4 territories, 3 or 4 territories in this northwest frontier province, in northwest. NWF पे लिखना, ठीक है, in NWFP. Then you write later Sudas replaced Vishwamitra with Vasishtha Rishi. Replaced Vishwamitra with Vasishtha Rishi, who was considered as Vasishtha Rishi, who was considered as most knowledgeable person on the planet Earth. Most knowledgeable person on planet Earth. एंड इवन लेटर बाद में लोगों ने इनको भगवान का भी दर्जा दे दिया, वशिष्ठ ऋषि, ठीक है. सो ऑन प्लैनेट अर्थ, ठीक है. देन यू राइट इंसल्टेड बाय द सेम Vishwamitra organized a battle in which 5 Aryan kings and 4 non-Aryan kings, in which 5 Aryan kings and 4 non-Aryan kings were on the side of Vishwamitra, full stop. They fought with the army of Sudas. Who defeated the 9 Rajans at the banks of river Parushni. Who defeated the 9 Rajans at the banks of river Parushni. And then onwards, whole territory came to be known as Bharatvarsh. ठीक है? So came to be known as Bharatvarsh. So then, how he treated to these people, so we will talk this in the this section, society section, ki what was the treatment to this defeated kings, defeated people. So we will talk about the same in the society. So you write society during early Vedic period. Society, polity के बाद दिन society. And Agastya Rishi, Vasishtha Rishi, there are many explanations given about the Vasishtha Rishi, that how he came to in this planet Earth. So what is the story about the Vasishtha Rishi? He is considered as the highest of the Brahmanas, ठीक है? And you already may be knowing about that कि Brahmins make Gotras concept used to be there, ठीक है? So there are concept of the Teen and Tera. How many of you know about the Teen and Tera? Anyone from the Brahmin community over here? If you don't know, so I'll talk about the same. A little bit. So three लोग ये पूछते हैं कि whenever there is a marriage between the Brahmin community, तो they used to the first thing they used to ask कि 3 के होगी 13 के, ठीक है? So actually 3 are the most important, and 3 means होता है कि 3 are the 3 particular communities, 3 particular gotras are the most important. Garg, Gautam and Sandilya, ठीक है? So they are considered as the 3 topmost Brahmins, and then 13 are the rest, ठीक है? So they used to. So this Garg, Gautam and Sandilya, ठीक है? So they used to say that we are the original inheritors of the Vasishtha Rishi, ठीक है? On 13 को ये लोग बाकी क्या बोलते हैं कि they are the degenerate sons of the Vishwamitra, ठीक है? So this is the story that how it is there. So and how they say कि they are the kind of inheritors and they are the sons of the Vasishtha. So they used to say that even the birth of the this Vasishtha Rishi was a kind of a heavenly thing. So at that point of time, 2 important gods were there, Varun and Marut, ठीक है? So they used to say that he was the son of Varun and Marut, and mother was Usha. There was one goddess, so Usha was the mother, and Varun and Marut were the god. So in दोनों, और how it was possible? तो polyandry, polygyny तो था नहीं, ठीक है? So they used to say that this Vasishtha Rishi appeared in this Pushkar lake. How this Pushkar lake came into being? So they used to say that the semen of the 2 gods, Varun and Marut, it was mixed in a jar with the ova of the Usha, ठीक है? In a glass jar, and that glass jar appeared in the Pushkar lake, and that's how Vasishtha Rishi came into being, and that's how this Pushkar lake came into being, ठीक है? So these things are very interesting also. पढ़ने में भी मजा आता है, ठीक है? So where I was, तो society during this period. Come to the society. During early Vedic period. So first we'll talk about the same thing. This what happened to these people. ठीक है? तो Aryans and non-Aryans. So first we'll talk about the slavery in the society. ठीक है? तो इसी continuous कर लेते हैं. तो slavery in the society. तो when in this battle, एक बार ध्यान से सुनना, ठीक है? Because this can be a very important question. So few people who were defeated by were Aryans, ठीक है? तो few people who were defeated by the Bharta clan, they were the Aryans, and few were non-Aryans, ठीक है? So they started to, so they were given 2 terms. This Aryans and non-Aryans, they were given 2 terms. These people were called as, Aryans were called as Dasas. They were called as Das. And non-Aryans who were defeated in the battle, they were called as Dasyu, ठीक है? So Das and Dasyu were there, ठीक है? So those Aryan kings who were defeated in the battle, they were called as Das, and those non-Aryan people who were defeated called as Dasyu, ठीक है? But what happened? कि both were kind of enslaved. Both were enslaved, but these people, Dasas, were given better treatment, ठीक है? So they were given better treatment, and even in many instances, they were given the official positions also, ठीक है? तो हराने के बाद then they were given the position of the commander, ठीक है? Military governor, this kind of thing. So they were given official positions also. But what happened to these people? They were the heavily ill-treated, ठीक है? They were ill-treated. They became the slaves, ठीक है? They became the slaves, and in Rigveda, Dasyu Hatya is also mentioned, ठीक है? So many places Dasyu Hatya is also mentioned, ठीक है? So Dasyu Hatya also used to happen, ठीक है? So this was the treatment that was meted out to these 2 people, ठीक है? So you write in this period, you write कि हाँ, yes, Aryans were subjecting. We are continuing from the same battle, Dasrajan War. एक बार फिर से उसे connect करो. In Dasrajan War, ठीक है? What happened? One of the Aryan clan Bharata, ठीक है? They defeated 9 kings, ठीक है? In these 9 kings who were there, 5 were Aryan kings, ठीक है? And 4 were non-Aryan kings. ठीक है, so this is the treatment meted out to the same. इसीलिए वो पहले कवर कर रहा हूँ. Otherwise society के features कि कौन-कौन से कुल कुलापा विस clan that I would have started. So now you understood. ठीक है, so they were treated. So those Aryans who were defeated by the Aryans, ठीक है, they comes under the Dasa, and those non-Aryans who are defeated by the Aryans comes under the Dasyu. ठीक है, so इसको लिख लो कि in battles, the defeated Aryans in battles, the defeated Aryans were given, were known as Das. Were known as लिखना, given नहीं लिखना. Were known as Das, and defeated non-Aryans were known as Dasyus. Were known as Dasyus. Were known as Dasyus. Okay, full stop. Then further you write, the Das were given better treatment. Were given better treatment. The Das were given better treatment, and many a times, they were offered high official positions. They were offered high official position. ठीक है, so it was a kind of that कि you belong to the same region. ठीक है, though I defeated you, but you belong to the same region where I belong, so you will be given the better treatment. ठीक है, and also the one thing was that कि color of the skin, ठीक है, which was there. Though we cannot say it very confirmly, but it was there. Why one would favor somebody? Because it is similar to that guy. ठीक है, so they were already fair, so they gave fair treatment to the fair people. ठीक है, so yes, fair treatment to the fair people. So that was not lovely. ठीक है, so and what happened? The non-Aryans, they were wheatish in color. ठीक है, so they were wheatish in color and they were not meted out with the same treatment. So you write, Dasyus were not given. Dasyus were not given any better treatment. Rather, they were enslaved. And in many instances, Dasyu Hatya used to happen. ठीक है, तो दासास एंड दस्यूज यू शुड बी कंफर्म अबाउट दैट कि कंफ्यूजन हो जाएगा कि दासास आर्यंस थे या दस्यूज. तो इसको एक बार कंफर्मली याद कर लेना कि कौन दास थे एंड हु वर द दस्यूज. ठीक है, नाउ कम टू द आई विल टेल यू द सेम. उनका क्वेश्चन पहले, हाँ पूछो, थोड़ा तेज बोलो. It was there in the Western Asia also. It was there in the Europe also. It was there in the Hungary, Germany, Poland, everywhere. Even the original race of the Aryans would be the present day Parsis in the Iran. ठीक है, they are the original race of the Aryans. ठीक है, and even we do have the Parsis in India. तो more than any Indians, आजकल बहुत सारा theory चलता है ना कि Aryan theory पे. अच्छा, who was the मॉडर्न इंडियन हिस्ट्री कंप्लीट हो गया क्लासेस में. सो यू मस्ट हैव रेड अबाउट दिस कि हु वाज द फर्स्ट पर्सन टू प्रोपोगेट अबाउट दिस कि आर्यंस वर द आर्यन काइंड ऑफ थियरी इन द मॉडर्न इंडियन हिस्ट्री. नहीं, बाल गंगाधर तिलक से पहले दयानंद सरस्वती. ठीक है, ही एस्टैब्लिश्ड द आर्य समाज. ठीक है, सो ही सेड दैट कि एवरीथिंग एल्स इज फॉल्स बट ओनली द वेदास आर ट्रू. ठीक है, तो he propounded this Aryan theory and he said that ki we all are the childs of the original Aryans. Then further, who was the first person to contest that theory? No, Rajaram Mohan Roy didn't contested Aryan theory. वो पहले ही थे. ज्योतिबा फूले, ये क्लासरूम जिसके नाम पे है ना, जिनकी बीवी के नाम पे है, ठीक है, तो उन्हीं के हस्बैंड, तो ही वॉज द फर्स्ट। हाँ, अदरवाइज ये क्लासरूम याद कहाँ होता है, सावित्री भाई फूले क्लासरूम, इवन कहीं लिखा हुआ भी नहीं है, ठीक है। सो he was the first person, Jyotiba Phule was the first person to contest this Aryan theory, okay? And he used to say that they were the foreigners and they have inhabited Indian territory and they need to move out, okay? So that was the one thing. So this Aryan theory is there in that we also used to say, many of us, and not abhi nahi bolunga, but outside this classroom and also in many places that people used to say that we are Aryans. We are not Aryans, we are hybrids. Yes, हाँ, nobody is purist, we are hybrids, we are not Aryans, ठीक है। So हाँ, सब बीच में वो घालमेल हो गया, ठीक है। So सब कुछ, so this was there. Then now come to the society, कि society में अब आगे क्या features थे, तो what were the specific features in the society? So basically 3-4 terms we need to know कि the social setup was in the form of Kul, Vis, Jan, Gram and Kul, Vist, Jan and Gram, ठीक है। So what was Kul? Kul was your, ऐसे ही लिख लो, ज्यादा कुछ उसको elaborate में लिखने की जरूरत नहीं। तो Kul was the family, ठीक है। Vis was the clan and what is Jan? Jan is the territory, ठीक है। And what is the Gram? पूरी community, ठीक है। So this is the whole community, ठीक है। So Kul, Vis, clan, Kul, these were the terms and their meanings which were there. So Kul means family and it was the most important. Clan means the particular tribesman, ठीक है। So it can be also said as the tribes, ठीक है। Tribe, clan is the tribe and Jan is the territory and that's how came the word Janpada, ठीक है। And Gram, so Gram is the whole community who used to inhabit that place, ठीक है। So Kul, so after this you write Kul and Vis were most important. Kul and Vis were most important, and head of the family was called as Kulapa. And that's how the Kulpati, ठीक है। देखो सब सारे जितने वर्ड्स इसमें पढ़ोगे ना एंशिएंट हिस्ट्री में and the words which are related with the Sanskrit, you will see that their other versions are existing right now. So how this Kul existed, Kul became Kulapa and then further it is Kulpati, ठीक है। What is Kulpati? Vice Chancellor. Then further we talked about this Aghanya, ठीक है। अघन्य का कौन सा फॉर्म आजकल एग्जिस्ट करता है? जघन्य, ठीक है। सो द सेम मीनिंग इज द सेम कि नॉट टू बी किल्ड एंड बोलते हैं ना कि काऊ को किल करना जघन्य अपराध है, ठीक है। सो उससे बड़ा अपराध नहीं हो सकता। तो द सेम वर्ड्स यूज्ड टू एग्जिस्ट बट इन अ डिफरेंट फॉर्म, थोड़ा बहुत चेंजेस हो चुके हैं, ठीक है। सो दैट इज देयर। सो क्या लिखा कि कुल एंड विस वेयर द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट एंड हेड ऑफ द फैमिली वाज कॉल्ड एज द कुलापा, ठीक है। कुलापा। देन फर्दर लिखो the society of this period was kinship based. So was kinship based या clan based. So what do you understand by kinship based society? इसके ऊपर based था. What is the meaning of the society was based on the this is kinship based? हाँ, सी नॉट किंग, किंगशिप नहीं है ये, किनशिप है। हाँ, किनशिप मीन्स भाई भतीजावाद, द पर्टिकुलर हिंदी वर्ड फॉर द सेम, भाई भतीजावाद, ठीक है। सो इट मीन्स दैट की द सेम ब्लड, ठीक है। सो दैट्स हाउ द सेम ट्राइब, सेम ब्लड सेम ट्राइब, ठीक है। सो इट वाज ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ द सेम ट्राइब और सेम ब्लड एंड दैट्स हाउ यू कैन ऑल्सो राइट क्लैन बेस्ड, इट कैन ऑल्सो राइट रिटन एज द क्लैन बेस्ड, ठीक है। kinship based or clan based. Then further you write women were about the women were given respectable position in the society. Women were given respectable position in the society. Women were given respectable position in the society, and they were allowed to participate. They were allowed to participate in Sabha and Vidhat. They were allowed to participate in Sabha and Vidhat. Okay, so that was the one thing. Respectable position, they were allowed to Sabha and Vidhat. Then further right, they were also allowed to participate in religious functions and rituals. In religious functions and rituals. In religious functions and rituals. Okay? Religious functions and rituals. Then further, so this was not just limited to this fair treatment, this was not just limited to the religious function and the participation, but also women were also given choice to choose their partners. Okay? So kind of Gandharva Vivaha was already existing. Okay? So they can choose their partners. Okay? So partner choose कर सकते थे. तो लिखो कि women can choose their partners under Gandharva Vivaha Vyavastha. Under Gandharva Vivaha Vyavastha. So you asked that what happened to Vishwamitra. So Vishwamitra moved towards the Deccan. Okay? After that defeat, he left the northwest frontier province and he moved to first towards the Gangetic Valley, and then he moved towards slowly from the Chhattisgarh he moved towards the Deccan. So it is said that he died in somewhere in Telangana. Okay? So that was there. So उनका reference एक बार फिर से आएगा when we will be talking about the Deccan. ठीक है? So where so they can choose their partners in this Gandharva Vivaha Vyavastha. ठीक है? So this we need to write because these terms are important. इसका कोई English term नहीं use करेंगे. ठीक है? So Gandharva Vivaha Vyavastha. What was? No, I will ask you on which basis you will choose your partner. So this was the love was the basis. No, we'll be talking about this Anulom and Pratilom and all the kind of the marriages, but in later Vedic period. ठीक है? अभी नहीं. पैशाच, दैव, असुर, ठीक है? वो सारा बात करेंगे. ठीक है? Then हाँ क्या पूछ रहे थे तुम? एंडोगेमी का मतलब क्या होगा? पहले मुझे एंडोगेमी का मतलब बताओ. No, गोत्रा कंसेप्ट था ही नहीं in early Vedic period. Gotra concept came in the later Vedic period. तो तभी से गैमी का बात करेंगे. ठीक है? Exogamy was there. Endogamy का concept हो सकता है because there is a अगर थोड़ा deeper study करोगे तो you will get instance of the conversation between Yam and Yami. ठीक है? So they were brothers and sisters. Even incestual marriage was there. ठीक है? So we are not going that deeper. That is not required in the GS. But हाँ, endogamy can be said. It was there. But later it happened, exogamy happened in the later Vedic period. उसके बारे में बात करेंगे. So where I was that they can choose their partners and under the Gandharva Vivaha Vyavastha. Then एक और लिखो. Niyog Vivaha was also Niyog. Niyogva. Niyog Vivaha was also prevalent in this period. अब Niyog Vivaha में क्या होता था? That we need to know. कि नियोग विवाह was also prevalent in this period. So what was this नियोग विवाह? Remarriage of the widows. ठीक है? So which is remarriage of the widows. Remarriage of the widows. ठीक है? So this was the नियोग विवाह. Now you understood नियोग विवाह क्या था? And Gandharva विवाह you understood? Gandharva विवाह is the love marriage. ठीक है? And Sakuntala stories, Abhigyan Sakuntalam, you have heard. So that is the Gandharva विवाह. ठीक है? And even the Rigvedic text it is written that there was one deity, ठीक है? Female deity. Her name was Usa. अभी थोड़ी देर पहले बात किया था. तो Usa fall in love with the Paurav. ठीक है? तो she fall in love with the Paurav and she married the Paurav. So that is also instances are there कि love marriage instances were there in the this Vedic period. ठीक है. So Gandharvi was your love marriage and this was your remarriage of the widows. ठीक है. लेकिन इसमें भी कुछ conditions होते थे, हम लिखेंगे नहीं. Conditions were there कि first you need to marry the brother of your husband. ठीक है. If he is not married. अगर जो वो choice available नहीं है तो then you can marry anyone other. ठीक है. So it is so niyog vivaah. Then further, what about the child marriage? सुनो यार तुम लोग. What about child marriage? सब विवाह का नाम आते अपने अपने विवाह के चक्कर में लग गए. हाँ. So what about the child marriage? No instances of child marriage. People were married only after the puberty. ठीक है. तो child marriage के concept से ये मत समझना कि 18 साल ही child marriage होगा. ठीक है. Here they considered it from the age of the puberty. Puberty you all know. At least I can just sense. So लिखो कि there are no instances. लिखो there are no instances of child marriage. There are no instances of child marriage in this period. Child marriage in this period. Child marriage in this period. And people were married only after attaining puberty. People were married only after attaining puberty. ठीक है. सो दैट्स हाउ इवन जस्ट आप इंडिपेंडेंस के पहले पढ़ा होगा शारदा एक्ट एंड दिस काइंड ऑफ एक्ट. तो कभी 14 था, कभी 16 था, कभी 11 था. तो दीज ऑल वेयर कंसर्न्ड विद द प्यूबर्टी, एज ऑफ द प्यूबर्टी. ठीक है. अभी एज ऑफ प्यूबर्टी से आगे क्रॉस होके बात करते हैं बिकॉज द वर्ल्ड हैज चेंज. सो दिस वॉज द सोसाइटी ड्यूरिंग दिस पीरियड. और एजुकेशन तो वॉज अलाउड, तो उसको भी लिख लो कि women were allowed to acquire all kind of education. Women were allowed to acquire all kind of education. Then now come to the last of the early Vedic religious practices. Religious practices during early Vedic period. So in this period, people who used to do that personification of the nature was there. ठीक है. So in this period, what was the important? That personification of the nature. So what do you understand by personification of nature? हाँ. हाँ, लिविंग बींग्स को नेचर से एसोसिएट कर देना. ठीक है. सो दैट वाज देयर. सो एज सच इन दिस पर्सनिफिकेशन ऑफ द नेचर 3-4 गॉड्स वेर इंपॉर्टेंट, मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट. एंड मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट गॉड वाज योर इंद्र. ठीक है. सो इंद्र वाज ही वाज नोन एज, हिज नेम वाज द गॉड ऑफ, हाँ, गॉड ऑफ रेन, देन ब्रेकर ऑफ फोर्ट्स, and that is Purandhar. ठीक है. So he was known as the god of rain and god of the breaker of the forts, and breaker of the forts में thunder आ जाएगा. ठीक है. So and he was called as the Purandhar. ठीक है. तो why he was called as the Purandhar or breaker of the forts? Because Rigvedic people, they used to believe that if they are defeating the indigenous population, so they are praying their god Indra, who brings this water and who breaks the forts of the people. ठीक है. So that's why he was considered as he is the one who has led to the victory of the Aryan people, and that's why he is the most important people. Then few more things were associated with that. He was also considered as the most rowdy and aggressive god. ठीक है. And not just rowdy and aggressive, but he was also a kind of popular because his interests were quite varied, because he was so he was interested in the Gandharvas. Okay? Gandharvas were musicians, and then Apsaras. So Apsaras were called as the seductive nymphs. So Apsaras, and also he was interested in the Soma. Okay? So not just he was powerful, but he was already having interest in the Apsara, Soma, and Gandharva. ठीक है? So that's why he was also called as the most rowdy and aggressive god. ठीक है? So you write कि Rigvedic people personified the nature. Rigvedic people personified the nature and started to worship personified nature gods. Personified nature gods. Personified nature god. ठीक है? Then further right. Indra was considered as the most important Rigvedic god. Indra was considered as most important Rigvedic god. Most important Rigvedic god. Then further you write. He was also known as Purandhar. He was also known as Purandhar. 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 He was also known as Purandhar, which means breaker of the forts. Which means breaker of the fort. Breaker of the fort. ठीक है? Then further you write. He is also known as God of rain भी लिख लो. तो he is also known as God of rain. He is also known as God of rain. ठीक है? Then further you write, he was the most aggressive and rowdy god. He was the most aggressive and rowdy god. Rowdy god. ठीक है? अब ये सब Soma, Apsara, Gandharva will not be writing. It was only for the discussion. So that you know. So further, so he was the most important god. And how we came to know that he was the most important? Because it is mentioned more than 256 times in the Rig Veda. ठीक है? And तो 256 बार इनको mention किया है. And the second most important god is the Varun. ठीक है? So Varun is mentioned more than 200 times. ठीक है? So you write the second most important Agni. Sorry, Varun नहीं था, Agni. The second most important god is Agni. Second most important god is Agni, and who was considered as god of. तो अग्नि कौन होगा? कौन से god होंगे? हाँ, fire. But here it means that god of cosmic order. God of cosmic order. ठीक है? God of cosmic order. And he was also considered as intermediary god. God of cosmic order. And he was also considered as intermediary god. So we have already discussed this intermediary thing, that how he intermediates the wishes of yours to the heavens. Okay? So that's why he was called as the intermediary god. So that's why yagyas used to happen, and in yagyas, this Agni was the most important. Okay? So then you write, third important divinity is Varun. Varun, and he is the god of water. So Varun is god of water. And fourth important god is the Mitra. Fourth important god is Mitra. And many places it is written Marut. Okay? So here we will be writing Mitra, and he is the god of wind. So Mitra. Okay? Then we need to know a few more gods which were there. Okay? So aside from these were the four important gods, but some goddesses were also there. Okay? So who was the most? No, most important goddess was Savitri. Okay? And who was this Savitri? The Gayatri mantra is dedicated to Savitri. Okay? So Gayatri mantra is about the Savitri. So you write other than these gods, Savitri was also considered as very important. Savitri was also considered as very important. And brackets में लिखना, Gayatri mantra is dedicated to Savitri. dedicated to Savitri, ठीक है? And then few other gods के name लिख लो, उषा, अदिति and इला. उषा, अदिति and इला. So they were also few other gods who were mentioned. ठीक है? So Savitri, I have written Gayatri. So Gayatri कर लेना. This is Gayatri. Mantra is dedicated to her. So this was there. Then after this gods, discussion of these gods, this Varun, Mitra, Indra, and everyone, this Savitri and Usa, Aditi and Ila. What was the purpose of the worship? What was the purpose of the worship? That is very important. And no, not fear was not the purpose. To have the नो वेरी नेचुरल, बहुत जो ऑब्वियस रीजन हो वो सब बताओ. तुम लोग बहुत दिमाग लगा के बता रहे हो, ठीक है? व्हाट कुड बी? कंजर्वेशन. नो, फिर से अब तुम लोग दिमाग लगाना छोड़ोगे नहीं. अरे यार, फॉर मटेरियल गेन. यू ऑल आर हियर फॉर बिकमिंग आईएएस, फॉर मटेरियल गेन. शादी होगी उसके बाद दिन, ठीक है? फिर उसके बाद दिन बहुत सारा दहेज मिलेगा. सो that could be there. So it was only for the material gain. The purpose of the worship was not at all spiritual, but it was just a material gain. And we will talk about that कि ये material spiritual में कैसे change हुआ with the incoming of Buddha. How it is related with the later Vedic period में we will connect it with the Buddha and Upanishads के thoughts. ठीक है? तो how they are connected with the spiritualism. और इसके पहले before incoming of the Buddha, there was no concept of the spiritualism. As you have already read that there was no concept of the salvation. तो वैसे ही फिर दोबारा पढ़ोगे यहाँ पे कि there was no concept of the soul and the spiritualism. ठीक है? Only from the Buddha it got started. ठीक है? So you write the purpose of the worship. The purpose of the worship. The purpose of the worship was to obtain material rewards from the God. Was to obtain material rewards from the God. Was to obtain material rewards from the God. And it wasn't for any spiritual purpose. Any spiritual purpose. ठीक है? So this is the purpose of the religious worship. Then what was the mode of the worship? How they used to worship? Mode of worship? बताओ. What was the mode of the worship? Yagya. Yes, very good. Sacrifices and offering sacrifices and yagyas. ठीक है? तो you write the mode of worship. The mode of worship was through offering sacrifices, comma, fruits and vegetables. तो ये सब व्रत वाला concept, everything fruits and vegetable, that is coming from that period. So fruits and vegetable, and also performing yagya. And by also performing yagya. By also performing yagya. ठीक है? So this was all about the एक चीज और हमें डिस्कस करना है. I forgot in the society. ठीक है? तो that we need to discuss. But this was all from the religion. So what was left from that कि we talked about this women in the society. पहले सुन लेना फिर लिखना. We talked about this that women got the respectable position in the society, but the society was patriarchal. ठीक है? And it can be seen that head of the family always used to be a male member of the family. ठीक है? And there was always in the Rigvedic, some of the Rigvedic mantras, it is written that people desired for the Suvira. ठीक है? तो Suvir. ठीक है? तो what does this Suvir stand for? Brave son. ठीक है? So yes, boy child, but brave son. Here it is concerned with the brave son. So that's how the word Kuvir also come into the picture. ठीक है. Suvir and Kuvir. Kuvir क्या होगा? Coward son. ठीक है. And Suvir would be the brave son. So you write, society was patriarchal in nature. Society was patriarchal in nature. Society was patriarchal in nature. And head of the family, and head of the family, and head of the family was always a male. Head of the family was always a male. Full stop. Then you write, in many of the prayers, it has been observed, in many of the prayers, it has been observed that people wished for a Suvira, that is brave son. ठीक है. तो brave son होगा तो वो territory को expand करेगा. ठीक है. And he will fight the battles. So that was it was meant for. ठीक है. So brave son was known as Suvira.